Hi and welcome to another edition of the Gooner Ramble. This is your host Akhil with another special. Today I've got Adrian Clarke with us, who you would have all heard on Arsenal.com, on the breakdown, on the old Clock End show, and of course played for us. I think, how many times, Adrian?
9 times in the first team.
Cool. Yeah, you got to make sure you say that. You know, that's quite important there. You know.
Yeah, I was there from the age of 10 until I was 22. So had many good times at the club. Absolutely loved it. Probably broke a record for the number of reserve appearances with Geordie Armstrong. It was just wonderful. But yeah, managed to get a few first team games and. Yeah, I'll never forget it.
Yeah, and you're still very much an Arsenal man now. I mean, I see you often at games, and you know I see the passion in you. I hear your voice when you're commentating. You're one of us, aren't you?
Definitely, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, no, it's definitely ingrained in me, and yeah, I mean, it's just a pleasure to be part of the club in a small capacity, getting to watch every Arsenal match and then write and talk about it. It doesn't really feel like the hardest job in the world. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky.
Great. Okay, we'll start. There was the Champions League draw yesterday, where obviously we drew Barcelona, and I don't know about you, but for me, memories of Lionel Messi scoring 4 at the Nou Camp just went through my mind, and it was one of those where I thought, oh wow, okay, that's tough, but you know. I think when we played our first 2 games in the group stages, we just to have a chance of being still in the competition, I think was important. I just think let's just enjoy it. I mean, what were your thoughts when you saw Barcelona come out of the hat, and were you half expecting it?
I was expecting it. I think we all were, weren't we? It just seems set in stone because Arsenal don't really do easy draws, do they? We usually get nicely stitched up, and this year's no exception, but it presents a great opportunity. I think your attitude's the right one, Akhil. Look, we did very well to show character to recover from the really poor start, so we should enjoy the fact we're still in it and that we're not having to worry about the Europa League and what a long run in that competition might bring. So yeah, look, let's go for it. Barcelona are brilliant. We know that. Their strengths are in the forward line. So at the Nou Camp, you would expect it to be a seriously stiff examination. But I look at their team and I think we can still get at them. I genuinely do, especially at Emirates Stadium. I think we can beat them there. And the problem is, can we go to Barcelona and cling on to something? That is the big question mark. I don't think that many people would fancy us, but we've proven people wrong, haven't we, in the past?
That many that I don't think there's one person that fancies us, mate. Even Arsene Wenger probably doesn't fancy us.
Well, you'd hope the players wouldn't give up on it. Look,
no, I don't think they will. You know.
Well, the thing is, in a way, we might. It depends, obviously, what happens, but the fact that we went to Bayern Munich and got absolutely stuffed might just help us when we go to Barcelona. I think that the mistakes we made that night shouldn't be repeated, and that maybe we'll go there with a different game plan and upset the apple cart. I just think they're going to be 2 very exciting games, and look, if we can beat them, what kind of message would that send out to the rest of Europe? So it's a special opportunity, but I'm like you, I didn't want to have this opportunity at this stage of the competition.
I mean, I was watching the draw earlier on BT, and someone we've actually had on our podcast, and someone I know quite well, Julian Laurens, was kind of on, and he said, you know, Arsenal, you know, have got a chance and stuff like that. And at the end, I think he was joking as well and said, you know what, Arsenal will definitely win if Messi has the flu, Neymar has a thigh strain, and Suarez pulls his hamstring. You know, that could happen. So then we will be considered favourites.
Yeah. But, look, it's going to be rock hard, isn't it? Obviously. Look, if they're all fit, it's going to be tough. And it's going to be hard to get the ball. Yeah. But we showed against Bayern Munich at home that we actually don't need a lot of the ball to beat a team like that, to beat a world-class team. If we get it right, if we're clinical, if we're disciplined and compact, we can hold an amazing team at bay and we can score at the other end of the pitch. So those two games at against Bayern Munich, for different reasons, could play into our hands in this one. Look, we're massive underdogs, but let's go for it.
So sometimes that can help, can't it? I mean, last year we had Monaco where we were massive favourites, and we know what happened. So it's difficult to know sometimes what this Arsenal team are kind of more comfortable in. Are they comfortable as sort of, outsiders when you don't expect much, or do they like being favourites? Do they, we've talked a lot about handling pressure, certainly over the last sort of 3 or 4 seasons, and it's something we'll obviously see in the Premier League as well. Now we are in a title race. Can we stay there? Can we maintain it? Can we win it? We don't know. But same way, it's about dealing with pressure, but maybe Europe represents a chance actually to have no pressure, just to try and play.
I see where you're coming from because I do see the Champions League as a bonus competition. And I'd like to think that maybe the players and the management do as well, because the Premier League is the most winnable for us this season. And I would say in the past we maybe haven't had the strength of character, and this is really important, we maybe just haven't had enough world-class talent to compete with the very, very best. And this time around, we do have Ozil, we do have Alexis, and we have other players that have improved, I think, in the last 2 or 3 years quite dramatically. So I would say that we're in a better place psychologically and talent-wise to give the very best a game and to handle the pressure. Look, it was pressure in Olympiacos.
Yeah, true.
And they stepped up to that. It was pressure throughout the FA Cup run when we were expected to win matches. And it wasn't always easy, but the players got there. And it's been pressure as well when we've had setbacks in the last 2 or 3 seasons, even after those horrible away games at Liverpool and City and whatnot. When the pressure was on for the next game, the team didn't buckle. They did respond. So I think there's probably more character in the team than those that don't see us regularly give us credit for.
You touched on the world-class players, and I want to focus on 2 of them. One is obviously going back to where he played football, Alexis Sanchez, probably where he became a bit of a global superstar. Of course, he was massive in Chile, and we all know when he played for Udinese, he was a big player then. But I think Barcelona gave him that sort of that showcase, that world stage to show his talents. And the other one is someone who's going to be going back to Spain to play against his old rivals in Mesut Ozil, obviously playing in Madrid. How do you think them doing? And as a player yourself, or past player rather, knowing footballers as you do, even if you don't know Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez well, how do you think they'll feel about the tie? And what do you think is going through their mind? Maybe not now, but certainly in the build-up to the game, and maybe the day before or on the day.
I think this is the type of fixture that all of the players, not just those 2, will be buzzing about. I genuinely do. Look, they will see it. They don't see themselves necessarily as inferior. They see this as, certainly not those 2, because one has played for Barcelona already, or the other's played for Real Madrid. They're Arsenal, so there's no need to be frightened of anyone. I think they will be just chomping at the bit to run out of the Nou Camp, to come out of the Emirates and to really tear at Barcelona, because it's the kind of night that your career could be remembered by, and it's one of those where you just got to sometimes take the bull by the horns and grab that opportunity while it's there, because it's not every season you get to test yourself against Barcelona. I think Alexis will be eager. I mean, he's always an eager beaver, isn't he? But he will be especially up for that game to show them what they're missing. I think he was certainly good enough for Barcelona, no question about that. I thought he was superb for them. Ozil, I think, I just think he's a class act, and he will frighten Barcelona. No doubt about it. Enrique will be worried about him, and not least because the way that they play, they won't necessarily have someone that follows Mesut Ozil around the pitch. So he will get his moments of space. and they know that he can hurt them when he gets that. So yeah, but it's a good matchup. I think Busquets against Özil is a really good one, and Alexis potentially against, I don't know if Dani Alves will play or not, but yeah, I think our match winners can shine in this tie. I really do.
It's also a big tie for Hector Bellerin, of course, going back home.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of, on social media is obviously where a lot of people go to gauge reactions. I think we all do it, not just in sport, perhaps in sort of every walk of life. When you see something big hit, you think, I wonder what the reaction is on Twitter, for example. And, one of the reactions from a lot of people were that, okay, yeah, we will probably lose, but just to have... by then we'll have, obviously, hopefully, Welbeck, Wilshere, even Thomas Rosicky back, Francis Coquelin potentially back, Santi Cazorla potentially for the second leg. It might be a bit too early, but we'll obviously have players back. So we might have a squad where we can kind of compete. And now I'm sort of looking at the overall picture. I think we go to Spurs before we play the second leg. So thinking about the squad, do you think this squad, and bearing in mind that we're talking about the players that are going to come back, we could get new injuries. I think that sometimes people forget that, hang on, you could lose 2 or 3 as well.
Well, I think yeah, probably substitute could for will probably.
But do you think the squad is that will be presuming we're still in a title race, we're still maybe first or second or third. Do you think the squad's good enough to kind of compete on three competitions, obviously, hopefully when still in the FA Cup? What do you...
I do. Yeah, I do. I think we're better equipped than a lot of our rivals, I've got to say. You only got to look at what the team are doing at the moment, really. With so many players out, the 11 that the manager is fielding is still a very strong 11. And there's a lack of attacking options on the bench at the moment. But defensively, we've got real strength in depth, and that could be crucial, couldn't it, in games like this? It would just be lovely to go to Barcelona or to take on Barcelona with our full strength side, but the chances are we will be missing a few. So I think we can deal with it as well as anybody. I mean, you look at Manchester United; they're really thin when they lose their first choice back 4 players and strikers. City, I think their key players are actually more important to them than our key players are to us, if you know what I mean. I think we can spread the load a little bit better than they can. So you'd never know how many players are going to be missing. But I think we can handle it, even if we went with every single first team player fit and healthy, and even if Barcelona had one of their star trio of attackers missing, they'd still be huge favourites.
Yeah.
So we are up against it, but I don't think we need to fret too much about that at this stage. I think I don't see a huge gulf between our backup central midfielders or our backup fullbacks or our backup centre halves than the first team players. I don't see it being dramatically different.
Yeah. We might need a few more of their first team out, to be honest. We haven't even talked about the genius of Iniesta. But I'm just looking at the fixtures. I got it a little bit wrong. The Man United game is after the home leg. But I mean, look at this for fixtures. We've got Leicester City at home, February the 13th. Then a potential 5th round of the FA Cup. Barcelona at home. Then we go to Manchester United. and then a few weeks later, we've got Tottenham. We've got West Brom at home, potential quarter-final of the FA Cup, and then Barcelona away, Everton away. So, in a way, if you want to win competitions, that's what, as fans as well, that's what we get excited about, those big games. I mean, I can't wait, and if we're in a title race, believe that's going to be, it's going to be a great few months, hopefully.
Definitely. Well, it's the business end.
Yeah.
What you want to be involved in the big matches at the business end. Akhil, we will be involved in a title race. I think at that stage, I just believe that I believe that we're going to be top 2 no matter what this season. It's obviously, I think it's between us and City. I genuinely do. I think we're the two best teams in the country. So we will be in the title race, and it will be nice. Imagine the lift it would give the players if we do beat Barcelona. Obviously, if we lose, there's a potential for that to damage
I
morale.
think it depends how you lose, though, as well. If you go out there and get battered 6-0, but if you lose by 1 or 2 goals when it's a close game,
Yeah.
it's a different type of losing, isn't it, surely?
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, I've seen some people on social media say, look, if we do go out, it frees us up nicely for that title run. And so that's not how the players will look at it, but that is, it's almost a shot to nothing, isn't it? This tie, you've got the chance of glory, the chance of an unbelievable lift at a crucial stage of the season, or you go out. As long as you don't go out, pitifully, and then it does free you up and to have that run in and really concentrate on the Premier League. The more I think about it, the more I'm totally not worried about it. And in a way, it could be better than us having to face a tie against a team we'd expect to beat, because we have tripped up, haven't we? In the Monaco game springs to mind there. But yeah, look, it's going to be a thrilling part of the season, and I just can't wait for it.
Yeah, I think of previous seasons, actually, and I think of sort of both aspects. A couple of years ago, was it 4 years ago maybe, when we went to the San Siro, AC Milan, we lost 4-0. We were pretty much battered. But then we kind of came back and we beat Spurs 5-2 at the Emirates. We went to Anfield and won, and then we beat Newcastle. We suddenly went on the streak and obviously we were fifth or sixth, and we got fourth in the same way, that 2-0 win in Bayern Munich, when we still went out ultimately on away goals. But, that was the year when Vermaelen and Chesney were dropped, and then suddenly we went on a winning streak. So, you're right, Europe can have such an effect on the rest of the season, regardless of if you win or lose. And I think
look at our squad as well, right? You've got Petr Cech in goal now. Yeah. He can have, he likes the big occasion. Yeah. I feel safe with him. You've got Koscielny and Mertesacker, who've played together now for a number of seasons. That there is no excuse for them, not being able to perform in a big game like that. You've got one of the best right backs in Europe. You've got the most improved left back in Europe as well. So look, and you've got, hopefully, Francis Coquelin and potentially Aaron Ramsey and Mesut Ozil in the centre of midfield. I mean, yes, Iniesta, Busquets and Messi are unbelievable. Yes, they are likely to toy with us at times during the tie, but our players are not substandard. Yeah, our players are ready and equipped to handle it. And I think the fact that we have had success in cup competitions in the last 2 years, and really we've become a really good match play team. I think we can acquit ourselves really well, but it would be nice to go to Barcelona with a lead.
Yeah, no, exactly. I tell you what, the way you're talking, I think I might send this to Arsene Wenger. We might want to play it to the players before the game. It might be a bit of their motivational, their Martin Keown speech in the Invincible season. It could be the Adrian Clarke speech. But you know what? As you're right, it's an exciting tie. I think it's certainly something I look forward to, and I can imagine Alexis Sanchez when the draw was made. In his house with a little football, kicking it against the walls, just really excited, and it's gonna be a good tie. So, that's obviously in March. We now have, or February. We have to now kind of put that to one side for a little while. It's kind of out of our minds for a bit. Now it's obviously the league, and then obviously the FA Cup as well. So next up, it's Manchester City. As we obviously won at Villa. Leicester are still in the mix at the top as well. It's an interesting time. I think Arsenal fans, on Sunday coming back on the trains and stuff. So I went to Villa Park, and it was very positive. There was a lot of sort of songs about we're top of the league and all that sort of stuff. It seemed positive. I think the Olympiacos obviously result has done something mentally as well. I think we believe a little bit more. There are some people that will still think we might mess it up, and I just think that's in their mind frame. But looking ahead to City, how do you think it will turn out? How do you think Arsenal will line up? Do you think there'll be much change? There's obviously about 7 or 8 days now rest as well. So how can you see that game playing?
Yeah, well, I've heard they're going to have a few days off, the players, recharge their batteries, and come back later in the week to really prepare properly for the City game. It's another great opportunity. it's a good time, I think, to play City because away from home, they're struggling. They're struggling big time. They haven't won any of their last 4 Premier League away games. They've not scored in their last 3 away games. If you think about all of City's good performances lately, they've come at the Etihad. So they haven't quite found their formula away from home. So if we have that fast start that we had against Manchester United, I know that's hard to replicate. I know that you can't do that every time. But if we can get at them early on and make the Emirates Stadium feel uncomfortable for them, there's a good chance we can cut through them, because I don't see them as being one of the best defensive sides in the league. I think we can score goals against them. My worry is that they can score goals against us too. Clearly, they've got an amazing array of attacking talent. So I envisage. I mean, what was it? I remember a 2-2. Was it last season?
Last season, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine.
In fact, we were 2-1 up with about 7 minutes to go as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think we could. It could be another game with goals in it. I remember we conceded a goal to a counter attack and a goal to a corner in that match.
Yeah.
So I think we've improved in terms of being less exposed to counters, but we're still vulnerable, aren't we, from corners and free kicks? So we need to be wary of that. But look, if Vincent Kompany isn't fit, and the chances are, I think he's 50-50 at best. Yeah. If he's not fit, we can really hurt those 2 centre backs that are there in his absence. They don't look comfortable, and I would back Aaron Ramsey to win the engine room battle with Yaya Toure. I just think he's got more energy and athleticism than he has, and I think he could be a thorn in their side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sergio Aguero looks like he might be fit, but obviously has had injuries this season, and I'm not sure he's played sort of at full throttle.
Even if he's not fit, Akhil, he's still the best player. He's still the best player, and he is the man to watch. I would be very wary of him, especially if he pulls into those areas where Per Mertesacker is. Yeah. So Hector Bellerin will have to do it, be very diligent. Flamini will have to screen the service into Sergio Aguero really, really well, because
that's the fear, isn't it? You say that we've improved on counter-attacks, but we actually improved with Francis Coquelin there. With Matthew Flamini, it's a completely different.
Yeah, and that is the worry. I've just praised Aaron Ramsey, and who is just here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you play against the Aston Villas of this world, you can get away with taking a chance and making forward run after forward run. In this game, Aaron Ramsey will need to pick and choose when he goes and when he attacks much, much more carefully, because if he keeps bombing forward, it keeps going and leaves Flamini on his own, you can see Silva, De Bruyne, Sterling, Aguero really making hay. So that is the slight concern. So it's a really big game for Aaron.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, look at sort of thinking about the Man City game in specific, thinking about big games in general as well. You talked about it, I think, at the start of the pod. Not last season, but season before. We obviously went to Chelsea. We lost 6-0. We lost 6-3 at City. We lost 5-1 at Liverpool. But last year, I think, we lost to Chelsea, but we beat City away and got a draw with them. In fact, they didn't beat us last year, including the Community Shield. I think I'm right in saying. We obviously, I can't even remember the Liverpool results. Of course we absolutely had that. We smashed them, didn't we? With Bellerin scoring the first, and then we won in the cup at Old Trafford. Our big game mentality looks to have changed. What do you think? Why do you think that is? Is it tactical, or is it just simply the mind?
Yeah, tactical. It is. I think both. Obviously, I think once you start getting results against the big boys, you believe in yourself more, and you toughen up mentally. The tactical change is that you'll notice in most of the games where we've succeeded, we've not had much of the ball. We've said, you know what, we aren't gonna play our usual game. We're happy if you have the ball, because we'll nick it off you, we'll turn it over, and then we'll hurt you on the break when there are gaps. So I think that is the way that Arsene Wenger has gone in the big games, and it suits the team. It really, really does. Obviously, you can't plan for it, because certain other teams want to counter-attack as well. So
Yeah.
it'll be fascinating to see what happens. I think City might have more of the ball than Arsenal in this game, but I can see us really, really hurting them on the counter. So yeah, it's going to be a fascinating one. I would back Arsene Wenger actually tactically over Pellegrini. I don't mind Pellegrini, but I don't think he has the most variety in his kind of armoury. He tends to be one way. I know people have said that about Arsene Wenger in recent years, and sometimes with justification, but in the last couple of seasons he has mixed things up tactically and he's come up with some really good game plans. And if he can come up with the right one for this, then we'll be sitting pretty, won't we? So yeah,
He's got a week.
It's tough. It won't be easy, but I genuinely think this isn't a bad time to be playing City. And even though we're depleted, I still think we've got the players to hurt them.
My medics tell me he's not going to be fit, but Sanchez is what Arsene Wenger said in his post-match press conference after the Aston Villa game. If it's a tough one, but talking about team lineups, let's say he's not fit to start, he starts on the bench. Who then starts in those sort of forward three positions? You would presume Flamini, Ramsey, Ozil play in the middle, or maybe does Ozil play out wide and you maybe stop the midfield? I don't know. What you tell me? You're the expert. You tell me.
You don't put Ozil out wide.
I agree. By the way, I was just playing.
Yeah. I know. It's just not. I think Arsene Wenger knows it now. The difference in performance level and consistency is amazing. Yeah. He loves it in that free role. He has to play there. Who plays left? It's a real interesting one because Theo Walcott was quite quiet at Villa Park for most of the game, but he came up with two moments that mattered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the penalty and then the pass or the pre-assist.
Yeah,
the Ramsey goal. So he will frighten Bakary Sagna if he plays on the left, and drives inside. I think Joel Campbell might get another crack at it. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain came on and looked quite sharp, didn't he, actually, at Villa Park? But I don't know if the manager would trust in the Ox and Walcott to occupy the wings together, because Joel Campbell's probably the more diligent without the ball. Yeah. So I see Joel Campbell playing. I think it'll be unchanged. I genuinely do. If Alexis isn't fit, if Alexis is fit, he'll play left. Giroud will play up top, and I suspect Theo Walcott will play on the right hand side, and maybe Campbell will miss out. So that's how I see it at the moment.
Just to throw something else in there, Arsene Wenger on Friday in his press conference, when he talked to the Sunday, so it was out on the morning of the Villa game, but there was a few, I think Steve Stammers certainly had it in the Mirror, about Wenger talked about, even though, he compared Giroud to the best in the world, the Lewandowski, to, I'm not sure quite he meant it in that context, but that's something else. But he also said that in some games, Theo Walcott will play up front because he's more suited to the opposition. And you think of, and he mentioned the Bayern Munich game, that was, Walcott played, and then Man United was another. Do you think there's any chance of Theo Walcott playing up front instead of Olivier Giroud to suit, but certainly if Kompany's out and it's, you want that pace in, do you, I don't know.
Good for it. No, honestly, I could, if Giroud wasn't scoring so many goals, playing so well, I actually think it might be nailed on that Theo would start in that position, and then maybe Olivier would come in off the bench. But I think he's playing so well at the moment, Giroud, that it would take a brave manager to leave him out. If he does, then that is a real bold tactical call. But no, I think I would go with Giroud, but I would start Walcott. I really would. I would probably start him on the right hand side. I think he's probably more comfortable driving into those gaps from there. So we should see. But yeah, look, with so many other players out, it's giving these guys the chance to play together. And a few months ago, it was one or the other, wasn't it? But right now, we're getting both our kind of main goal threats on the pitch at once. You've got Ozil and Ramsey chipping in as well, and Campbell. So, we've got goal threats all over the pitch. Yeah. I think City will be just as worried about us as we are about them.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope you're right. I think even if, Walcott on the right and he plays against Kolarov, who seems to play more than Clichy, I think he will absolutely scare the shit out of him as well, if I'm honest. Theo Walcott's one of those players that I personally really like. I think, people can accuse him of not maybe having a trick or not having
Yeah.
that or this, but you know what? When you've got the pace he has and the finishing ability he has, you
Mm,
don't need much more. And I honestly think Theo Walcott's. I wrote about it a few weeks ago. I think Theo
yeah.
Walcott's going to be huge
Oh,
this
definitely.
season.
And you've got to remember in games like this, the real toughies where you won't have as much of the ball, part of the thinking is going to be, can I trust them when we haven't got the ball? So,
Yeah,
with that in mind, and I'm not saying that any of the guys, excuse me, are weaker than others, but I think that is why Joel Campbell might almost certainly play, because he is someone the manager keeps going on about as a team player and someone that will dig in and track back.
yeah.
So it's sometimes you've got to pick the teams with a little bit of caution in mind. So yeah, we'll see. But I love Walcott, big fan. Um, I've loved what he's done up front. I really have.
Mm.
It's just at the moment you think, well, you can't leave
He's
Giroud out. You just can't do it.
Yeah. You mentioned Joel Campbell there. Do you think he now does have a long-term future at Arsenal? I think on Soccer Saturday, I see it sound like I just watch kind of football all day, don't I? But on Soccer Saturday, Paul Merson said that, Arsenal might look at it as actually he's played quite well. We could probably get 8 to 10 million for him in January. I don't think he'll go in January, but maybe, well, I suppose he's out of contract, I think, isn't he? But do you think he's a long-term, can he play long-term for Arsenal? Maybe not always as a starter, but how do you think he feels actually? Because he's got the taste for it now as well. And when Alexis comes back and things like that,
Mm,
Welbeck comes back, he might get a little bit less game time. How do you think he'll
yeah.
feel? And what do you think will happen with him?
I don't. Well, it's hard to tell, but I think that he has now got more confidence. I think it was an issue before where he hadn't really contributed when he played in the first team games. So now that he's kind of made an impact, I think he feels more at home. So I think that bodes well, and
Yeah,
Arsene Wenger will obviously recognise that. So he will certainly not be thinking of selling him now. I think he will be thinking, okay, he's a really good squad guy that can come in and do a job for us. I guess the issue is, if you're Joel Campbell, do you want to stay at Arsenal and be on the periphery
yeah,
for the next 2 or 3 years, which could be his prime years, or do you think actually it's about time I became a main man somewhere else? And yeah, so it's a tough one. I could see both sides of the coin. I don't think you'll find that many players these days, especially wanting to leave Arsenal.
yeah.
But if he feels his path is being blocked, then I wouldn't be surprised if he went. But I'm a lot more optimistic about his chances of being here long term now than I was a month ago. So yeah, he's proved himself to the manager, to his teammates, and probably to himself, because I think he might have had one or two doubts. Am I good enough?
Yeah,
And he's shown it. I mean,
yeah,
that assist against Olympiacos was
yeah.
quality. Like that was different gravy. And his finishing has been all right as well. He's come up with a couple of really cool finishes.
Yeah. Scored
So he's
away at Swansea and
yeah,
home
he's
Swansea.
he's not a world beater by any means, but he's got this kind of calmness about him that means that he is a player you can maybe rely on when to be clinical in a moment that matters.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he is probably about sixth or seventh choice as well, isn't he? Maybe not now, but he certainly was at the start of the season. Walcott, Ramsey, Chamberlain, potentially Welbeck, Thomas Rosicky, they were all ahead of him in the
Yeah,
pack. But you could argue he's ahead of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at the moment as well. But I
probably
mean,
is. Yeah, he is.
just talking about sort of, would you want to leave Arsenal? And this is probably the last question, but about would you want to leave Arsenal? How do you think? Is it? Well, not is it, but it seems, and maybe I'm quite a positive person, quite a positive fan. You know, I have been very frustrated over the last few years, but I do feel this is potentially the season where you know we can win the league. We can. The two FA Cups were great, but for me the league's there. But is it a great time to be an Arsenal player and an Arsenal fan and just connected to Arsenal? Can you see the next few years being, you know, very successful and us growing as a club?
I can, yeah. I think that the squad's grown, the team has grown, hasn't it? There haven't been, obviously, there were moans and groans that the manager didn't buy more players in the summer.
Yeah.
But, and I understand, you know, the question marks over that, but you're talking about a team that's used to playing with one another, that they have been developing for 3-4 years now, this group of players. And I think they're coming into the right ages. They're all, what are they? A lot of the squad were 26, 27, 28. That's a great period. It's like a peak time in your career. They're comfortable in their surroundings. Other Premier League teams seem to be in a bit of a, you know, less stable state, shall we say. I think this is going to be a good time. Well, it has to be a good time because the likes of Chelsea and City and Liverpool, Man U will continue to spend massively. So we have to make the most of it. And I think this season and next season, this squad are at their maximum. I really do, because they're all at the right age. And every team breaks up. But this team we haven't let players go in the last couple of years. And it's inevitable that will happen. But that gives me confidence that this year and next could be the most exciting for a long time. Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, given the talent that we've got now, they should be. Honestly, there is. I'd be bitterly disappointed if we don't win the league either this season or next. I really would.
And by the way, just for anyone listening, when I say grow as a club, we're already a massive club, just to make that clear. All right, I always end with a few quick-fire questions, so it's just literally one-word answers, your first reaction. So will Arsenal beat Barcelona over 2 legs?
No.
Will Arsenal win the league?
Yes.
Will Mesut Ozil win Player of the Year?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was probably my last. Will Hector Bellerin win Young Player of the Year?
No.
No, fair enough. Adrian, it's been good having you on.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, mate. I hope those answers were quick enough for you.
They were quick. And to be honest, I think I agree with probably all four. I think Bellerin's just slightly got off the boil a little bit. I think, you know, it's his first time. He's probably played 4 months in a row. I think he's just maybe not struggling, but just, you know, it's caught up with him a little bit, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, no, things are good. Yeah, we might not beat Barcelona, but we can definitely win the league.
Yeah. Well, I'll take that any day of the week. I'm recording this. If we don't, I'm coming for you, mate. Adrian, great. Thanks for having you on. No, thanks for coming on, rather. And enjoy the rest of your week. Up the Arsenal.
Cheers.